beliefs will change them. Please look at the screen. Thank you, Dan. And say the affirmation with me with conviction. I now drop the idea of becoming someone and realize that I am already a masterpiece, made in the likeness and image of God. I am fully awake and present to who I am, which brings me joy, the life I am creating with every thought, word, and action, and to the many ways God shows up all around me. Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy. So I'd like you to begin. Close your eyes, if you would, for a moment. Turn within. And I'd like you to begin to imagine that I hand you a beautiful envelope with calligraphy on it. And that calligraphy is your name. And so just take a moment and turn it over, open it up, and pull out the contents. And there before you is an invitation, which reads, "You are cordially invited to let 2018 be the year that you awaken to the life of beauty and wonder that Spirit intends for you." So just take that in. Take a breath. So what would 2018 be like if you said yes to being fully awake and present? You can open your eyes now. What would it be like if you were fully awake and present to all that life offers you, to the you that you are in truth in each and every moment? What if you were fully and present to what brings you joy? What if you were fully present and available and awake to your thought world, what goes through your mind, your thoughts, and also what comes out of your mouth, and your actions? What if we were fully awake and present to it all? How would 2018 be different? To me, this is one of the most profound New Year's resolutions that you could ever make, is to be fully awake and present, because that's really what it takes. You know, we could write down a ton of different other resolutions, but if we're not fully awake and present to life, then we miss the opportunities that we have in each and every moment. So this is really living at this is a resolution at a much higher level than maybe we've done it before. And I'm not saying not to do the other ones, but if we were to choose just one and chose this to be the one, this could be a complete and total game changer. I'm continuing on with our theme. A total game changer. So each week, this particular month, I'm going to be focusing on this concept of being awake and present to life. And also, this is the month, January is the month throughout all of the New Thought world where we go back to the basic principles and practices and review them and deepen into them. And so I will be bringing all of that into your awareness again. And then listen to this. This is our theme for 2018, because 100 years ago is when Ernest Holmes got his start, when he wrote that little book, Creative Mind and Success. It was 1918. So this is 100 years of science of mind this year. Woohoo! How many of you knew it was 100 years? I mean, it's exciting. It's very exciting. So we're not that new, really. When you think about it, 100 years is quite a long time. And so today, the piece that I want to focus on is actually what are the handouts that I had in all of your chairs, which is awakening to the four stages of spiritual consciousness, or you could call them the four kingdoms of awakening. Because if we can awaken to these four stages, is there anybody who does not have one? Raise your hand if you do not have one. Okay. Because there's some extras that are different places on the chairs. Lovely. Because these four stages, if we understand this evolutionary process of the soul, we can, and we are awake and present to what's going on for ourselves, we can more easily shift into a higher place. Now, these particular kingdoms or stages of spiritual consciousness originated with Dr. Michael Beckwith, who has taught New Thought for many, many years. So this actually originated quite a long time ago, maybe 30 years ago or so. And it's taught throughout all of the New Thought, the various aspects of New Thought or the different organizations. And it requires us to use a beginner's mind. So I'm going to be inviting us to observe our own minds as we hear the different stages and notice what happens. Does a not good enough thought come up? Oh, wow, I wish I were more advanced than I am, or wow, am I still stuck there? I want you to really drop that because that's just the conditioned mind, which is not who you are. So the conditioned mind will put up all of these thoughts that maybe are not serving you. I'd like you to just use beginner's mind. Pretend like you're an innocent new little child who's hearing this for the first time. And be open to the message that it might give you, because the idea of it, of deepening into it, is to be aware of our thought patterns and where they are and how to course correct. Also, use your beginner's mind to be open to something new for you. I know many of you have heard these four stages multiple times if you've been here for quite a long time. Again, it's an opportunity for us to not go into the I've already heard this before kind of attitude, which really blocks you from hearing something new. And what I love every time I go through this, it gets me recentered in what it is, what my intentions are with my own inner world. And also the concept of kingdom, very interesting. When I looked it up in the dictionary, it means a realm in which something is dominant. So we can think of these four kingdoms of awakening or four levels of spiritual consciousness as places in which a certain state of mind is dominant. So I love the idea that Jesus used the idea that the kingdom of heaven is within, because it's just a reminder, it's a state of mind. It's a state of mind that happens to be dominant. And so as we listen, just notice the states of mind that are being described. So the first stage, the first kingdom, why me, or the mortal stage? So here in this particular stage or kingdom, we are more asleep than awake. We are sleepwalking through life, run by the conditioned mind. The conditioned mind, all that we've learned throughout our entire lives. And so it's limited thinking, it's lack thinking, it's very narrow thinking. There's not an ability to see the bigger picture in this state of mind. So life is seen as a struggle. And there's a sense of feeling separate, powerless, disconnected from life. There's also a belief that we have no control when we're in this stage, and that we are actually the victim of things outside of ourselves. Therefore, it would be something like something outside of me is doing it to me, Why is this happening to me again? Whenever you hear yourself saying, why me? Why is this happening again? And the hand goes up with the Velcro. Why is this happening to me again? You know you're in this mortal or victim consciousness, this why me stage. And so there's a lot of drama here. We get engaged in drama and complaining. So when we notice ourselves complaining, that's a key that we're there. And also, if only he or she would change, then I'd be happy.
Good luck with that.
Right. So this particular stage is common to humanity. And all of us, I can almost guarantee, have done this at one time or another. And it's really what we are evolving out of as a human species, because we've been evolving into the higher levels. So it's a huge opportunity, really, when we find ourselves in that state. Think of it as an opportunity to wake up to something greater, to wake up to letting go of blame, letting go of shame, because we also don't want to blame ourselves and shame ourselves, and instead stepping into responsibility. And responsibility here does not mean, I'm to blame. It means I have an ability to respond to this in a different way. So it's actually very clean and clear and neutral, and I have an opportunity to do something different here. So if we can look at it kind of like a child exploring something new, I have an opportunity here to explore something new. I can let go of this whole pattern. And then we wake up to realizing we really aren't victims of life or circumstance. We are very powerful creators made in the likeness and image of the one creator. We are emanations of the Most High. We are children of the Most High, whatever works for you. We are no longer victims to things like circumstance, other people, the economy, weather, or the political climate. We are above and beyond that. And so the forgiveness process is the key thing to moving out of this stage and into a stage of empowerment, is to forgive ourselves, to forgive others, and to move forward. And forgiveness has a really powerful effect on us, and that it helps us let go of our rumination over the past, ruminating over and over in the mind, and brings us clearly and focused in the present moment. It returns us to that state of love. And so now we're available for something different. We are available for the next stage, which is by me, or the metaphysician stage. And here is where we begin to understand that we are a part of something greater than us, something greater. We begin to expand and broaden our viewpoint. And we understand that there's a law. There's a law that we can use and we can come into harmony with. We can start learning to align ourselves with a higher truth. We find out that things don't happen to us. They happen according to our belief. They happen through us and according to our beliefs. And we learn that we create from within by changing our thinking and therefore changing our beliefs, which therefore changes our lives. And so one of the mottos of this spiritual tradition is change your thinking, change your life. And remember, your thinking is a tool of the spirit. So we don't want to minimize this. We want to realize that our thoughts are a powerful tool that we use to express the spirit essence of who we are, that divine magnificence. We also begin to use different tools, and this is where the foundations class comes in so beautifully. We learn to affirm, we learn to visualize, we learn to make vision boards, and we learn to use a new kind of prayer that's not begging God to give me something, which is really the prayer of somebody who is in the victim stage. God, give it to me. Whatever. Or I'm unworthy. Those kinds of prayers, or that's the victim stage. We move into a new type of prayer, which we call spiritual mind treatment. It's an affirmative prayer where we speak the higher truth that all there is one presence, one power, one life, and that life is God, Spirit, the infinite Almighty. And we are of that presence. We are made in the likeness and image of that presence. And therefore, our word has power. And so we begin to speak our word with that awareness. And then we sort of move into this idea that we can make things happen. So that's the by me part. Things happen by me. And so new thought is a wonderful way to master this particular level, as well as the higher levels. But one of the things that we find happens is if people try to jump into the higher levels without mastering this stage, they'll find that some of the basic things of life, relationships, money, career, health, all of those things could suffer. So it's really important to learn how to master this metaphysician stage, this by me stage, to stabilize our lives so that we are more available to self actualize, to move into the higher levels of consciousness. So then, when we do master that, we're prepared for the next stage, which is God through me, the mystic stage. Here's where we let go of trying to manifest things, and we begin to become more interested in our relationship with the divine. Our relationship with the divine becomes the focus, and we make ourselves then available to the divine, and we make whatever good is for us welcome. Instead of trying to make it happen, we're making it welcome, because our vibration is shifting into higher levels through various spiritual practices like meditation, mindfulness as we move throughout our day, visioning. Visioning is a real key component for this stage. And so as we begin to do these, we begin to raise our vibration. We begin to allow ourselves to be a channel or an instrument or a vessel through which spirit works. And spirit being our authentic selves, our divine selves. So this particular stage and the idea of mystic, when some people hear the word mystic, they think of a guru sitting on the top of a mountain with their legs crossed and say, well, I'm not that. I'm not a mystic. But here, listen to this definition by Ernest Holmes. He says, the mystic is one who senses the divine presence. We can all do that. Who senses the divine presence. And so in this state, because the focus is on developing a relationship with the divine, there are heightened moments of feeling the presence. Heightened moments. Some of the heightened moments that I have that I'd like to describe to you are sometimes I feel so full of the presence that I want to run around and hug and kiss everybody.
You can around here.
Right. And in those heightened moments, I mean, my family sees me coming. They're going, "Oh, we know what's coming. We know where she is." They can just be heightened moments of bliss, the bliss of being or doing whatever you love to do, that thing that we call what brings us joy. So it's a time of surrender. We're making ourselves available to spirit. We are surrendering, and surrender in this particular context means surrendering the conditioned mind, letting go of the conditioned mind, not letting the conditioned mind run things. It means surrendering into a higher way of being, into our next version, the next version of ourselves. How does that feel? That feels good, right? We're surrendering into the next version of who we are. So then the song that we love to sing, and we're going to be ending today with, use me, O God, I stand for you. And here I'll abide as you show me all that I must do. It's use me. Let me be an instrument of the divine. It's a really beautiful stage, a stage of the mystic. It's being open, available, willing to be the vessel of divine good in whatever way it shows up for us. And prayer becomes very different, like I said, in this context. Prayer is a willingness to be open to the guidance of the divine. Prayer is about our connection with the divine. Prayer is about making welcome that which is that we are to do. Our question is, what is mine to do? So true prayer then is, thy will be done. And for some of you who may have been brought up in other traditions, thy will be done might be, well, does that mean that I have to suffer? Is that the will of God? And Ernest Holmes, I think, is so brilliant in the way he shares this. He said, the will of God is the same as the nature of God. The nature of God is love, peace, joy, goodness of every kind, intelligence, wisdom. So the will of God for us is all of that. So say yes to that. Yes. All right. So that's the will, that's thy will be done is really good stuff. And Ernest Holmes says the will of God is always good. So then the next stage is like, wow, it's getting really good. There's a better stage. Yeah, there's a better stage even than that. And it is the master stage. This is the Buddha and Jesus, I think, so beautifully typify this master stage. And it's a combination. We don't leave the metaphysician stuff behind or the mystic behind. It's really a combination of the mystic and the metaphysician from a place of an awareness of perfect union with the divine. So we begin to not see where God begins and we leave off. We just basically see it as all God and feel that beautiful union with the divine. So when Jesus said, the Father and I are one, he talked about the Father within. The Father and I are one. That was divine union. That was a master statement. And prayer, in this particular case, it's still that higher prayer. It's used for the purpose of oneness consciousness, to know God. And Joel Goldsmith puts it so beautifully. He said, do not pray to God for things. Pray to know God, and all things will simply appear. Pray to know God, and all things will simply appear. Breathe that in. Again, the relationship with the divine becomes the paramount thing, and to realize we are the divine. I am that. And so the master, and we think about Jesus and the way his ministry was, the master consciousness, which is within all of us, it's there. We call it the Christ consciousness, the Buddha consciousness, oneness consciousness, wholeness consciousness, is when we see something in the world that's not working, we see it as an opportunity to experience the divine. And so that's what Jesus did when he turned water into wine and he fed the multitudes and he raised the dead. It was another experience of God's presence and the healing power of knowing that higher truth. I love this final conclusion in the Science of Mind. It's on page 423, where Ernest Holmes says, the essence of spiritual mind healing, which he's talking about spiritual mind treatment, and all true religious philosophy, is an inner realization of the presence of perfection within and around about. It is the voice of God proclaiming, I am that which thou art. Thou art that which I am. That is the consciousness of the Master. I am that which thou art. Thou art that which I am. Perfect union. Perfect love. Realizing that everyone around me is me. It's a very powerful place to be. And so, of course, and we have one of the things that we do in our community to support other people, we are really supporting an extension of ourselves because we are all one. I love the perspective of the astronauts when they're up on the moon, up in space, looking down on the planet and realizing it's one beautiful, perfect whole. And we are of that whole, and we are of a greater whole, which is the presence that created the universe. So during our lifetimes, these different stages, and I invite you to take them home and study them. These different stages are things that it's nonlinear. Let me put it that way. There will be moments where we might be in very heightened stages. And then there may be other moments when an old belief is triggered and we're back in victim. So if you find yourself back in victim stage or back in that mortal stage, it's okay. Breathe. You go, here's an opportunity. Here's an opportunity to shift a belief that's not serving me. That's what I love about this teaching. There is no self-condemnation. There is only self-compassion. It's like, it's okay. We all do that. We all go there somewhere, right? And so when we go there, it's an opportunity to, there's something operating here. It's an opportunity for me to shift into a place of higher vibration, back into a place of peace and love and all of that good. So again, you are cordially invited in 2018 to have it be a year in which you awaken to the life of beauty and wonder that the Spirit intends for you. And so if you find yourself caught up in the different stages, why me? It's an opportunity to awaken to the powerful being that you are, that you're endowed with the creative nature. Or if you have mastered manifesting, your life is stable, okay, it's time to surrender control. Trying to control all of the manifestations and to move into that place of surrender and being available and making Spirit welcome to work through you, to use you. And then the next stage after that is perfect union, God as me, it's consciousness, the Master, where there is only love. So let's take a moment and just allow all of these beautiful ideas to sink in, and realizing that this community, this Center for Spiritual Living Delaware, and all of us who are here for the purpose of moving and supporting each other and moving through these stages so that we can be a greater beneficial presence to the all that is. So let's turn within, take a breath, giving thanks for the awakening, being fully present and awake to this new year, to our lives, to all of the opportunities that are here for us as we ground ourselves and root ourselves in the awareness that all there is one life, one presence, one power, one source, and that is God. That is the one life that is all pervasive, whose center is everywhere and whose circumference is nowhere. The divine magnificence, whose presence is love, is all good, infinite peace, harmony, beauty, wisdom, creative genius. And realizing that presence is right here in the very center of our being. It is our essence, our essential nature is one and the same as the divine. We are made in the likeness and image of the divine. And so as we are present to that truth, then we can be present to what brings us joy. We can be present to the thoughts and the emotions and the actions that we are taking, and we can redirect ourselves if we're getting off course by redirecting our thoughts in the direction of greater good, of spiritual truth, of being available, of being used by Spirit. And I'm so grateful for this knowing, this awareness of truth. I'm so grateful that we can be compassionate with ourselves when in the moments that we slide backwards and realize that that's okay. It's just another opportunity. I'm so grateful for this beautiful spiritual community, for the love that binds us, for our high intent. And I give my thanks for this beautiful spiritual teaching, these New Thought, Ancient Wisdom, and Science of Mind teachings that uphold us, that uplift us, and that guide us into the greater yet to be. And I release this word now into the universal law of mind, that creative mind, that creative medium that takes up the word, this law of cause and effect, and brings it into fullness and manifestation in our world. And so with great joy, I release this word. I let it be. And so it is.
So it is.
Amen.